My name is Kathy Polk, and I'm 30. It started with a text. 5 words, no punctuation, no apology. You aren't invited to dinner. Another text followed, like an afterthought. Noah's girlfriend doesn't like you. That was it. Not I'm sorry, not we'll talk later. Just my mother, drawing a boundary around a table I've spent half my adult life paying for and placing me outside it because Noah's girlfriend, Betrayal, an Instagram saint of clean eating and activated water, decided I gave her anxiety. The part that stunned wasn't the exclusion. I am familiar with that particular chair. It's invisible and always in the corner. It was the timing. 4 hours earlier, I'd finalized 2 things. A $120,000 wire to stop my parents' coffee shop from sinking under a wave of red notices, and a fully paid 10-day Hawaii anniversary trip for them. Ocean view, private massage cabana, champagne on arrival. The hotel upgrade alone was $9,600 and felt like buying forgiveness in advance. I was still holding the confirmation email when the text arrived. My thumbs hovered. There were pages inside me, footnotes of holidays I covered, receipts for pipes I replaced, silencers I screwed onto every grievance so the family orchestra could keep playing the same 2 songs. Isn't Noah special? And Kathy will handle it. Instead, I typed 1 word, okay. I put the phone down the way you set a glass on a table you're about to sell. Then I looked across the room, and Lucas, my boyfriend, watched my jaw clench around that small word. You don't have to keep doing this, he said. Not a challenge. A door. Somewhere deep in my chest, something thin and old cracked. Not loud, not dramatic, just done. I walked into my home office, woke the screen, and opened my banking dashboard. The $120,000 wire was still pending. Reversible. A button waited. I pressed it. Next, the Hawaii trip. Flights canceled. Hotel canceled. Private dolphin tour canceled and rescheduled to swim with sharks, a petty joke between me and myself. Each confirmation email landed like a white pebble on a new path. Then I opened a folder on my drive labeled Family Support, a neat archive of 157 PDF receipts across 7 years. Groceries, rent top-ups, medical co-pays, utilities, just until the cafe stabilizes, and holiday dinners with my name missing from the seating chart but present on the bill. I didn't delete them. Not this time. I created a new document, receipts.md. Not numbers, moments. Deck 23. Noah crashed the second car. I paid the deductible. He posted a story about miracles. April 12th. Mom called me dramatic for asking to split the birthday dinner check, then sent me a picture of the cake she made for Noah, just in case I wanted to see it. August 3rd. Cut short the Barcelona trip with Lucas. Wired emergency funds to cover the cafe taxes while he slept with a book on his chest. I typed until my shoulders softened. Lucas came to the doorway, leaned on the frame. You okay? He asked. I think I am, I said. I think I've been circling the drain so long I forgot there's ground. The first call arrived 2 days later. Not, are you sick? Not, we're worried. My father, why did the cafe payment bounce? I let it go to voicemail. The second call, the third. By the 6th, a text. This isn't funny, Kathy. Humor. The idea that my pulling away was a prank. The same way my giving had been treated like gravity. Reliable, invisible, inevitable. Then Mom, are you mad because of the dinner? Don't be dramatic. The words sat there like a bruise she kept poking. Dramatic. Right. From the woman who once dabbed at invisible tears when Noah was caught speeding because he's under so much pressure. Here's the truth. I wasn't mad about a dinner. I was done with a decade. Noah is the miracle child, my parents' phrase, not mine. The late baby who arrived with an invisible credit line stapled to his birth certificate. He dreams, I bankroll. He crashes, I call the tow. He lies, they nod. I breathe wrong, I'm the problem. At 23, I worked 2 jobs, telling myself it was until things get better. At 26, I co-signed the cafe loan no bank wanted. At 28, I paid the second mortgage because Mom said the debt made her chest tight at night. Meanwhile, Noah pivoted his personal brand from crypto vibes to mindset coach, and then to artisan coffee tastemaker, despite burning every batch he touched. But sure, Brielle doesn't like me. Maybe it's because I didn't clap for her story about manifesting a Prada bag. Maybe it's because at Christmas I called her protein powder line what it is, a pyramid with shaker bottles. Lucas poured tea and slid one across my desk. "If you want," he said, "I'll be the wall. You just rest your back." I stared at the steam and realized I believed him, not because he promised to fix it, but because he didn't ask me to. In the quiet, I remembered something else I'd done while everyone assumed my usefulness was an endless well. I protected myself, quietly. When I rebuilt their online ordering system, when I negotiated the tourism guide placements, when I dragged their POS out of the 90s, I did it through an entity with my name on it, an LLC that owns 40% of the cafe. Not to control, to make sure when I offered help it wouldn't disappear into a black hole called family. I called Danielle, my lawyer, voice like cut glass. "I'm ready," I said. "Then we're ready," she replied. "We'll file the dissociation and capital withdrawal. You won't carry their balance sheet anymore." I didn't glow with triumph. I went for a walk with Lucas. We passed the bistro where we had our first date, the one with garlic in the air and good wine that didn't need a filter to be beautiful. "You seem lighter," he said. "I feel like I finally stepped out of a storm that wasn't mine," I answered. That night, Aunt Camila texted, "Your mother is crying. Call her." I typed back, "She wasn't crying when she uninvited me. I'll talk when she can use my name without calling me dramatic." I expected guilt to arrive wearing the old coat. It didn't. What arrived was stillness. Noah finally texted, punctuated like always by entitlement. "WTF, did you do? Mom and Dad say you're threatening them financially. Chill. Stop acting like a victim." I read it 5 times, then replied, "You can Venmo them the gas bill. I'm retired." He didn't respond. Of course he didn't. People who've been carried forget how to stand. Later in bed, Lucas said, "There's something else. My ex, Elise, the forensic accountant, she once told me small cafes are where consulting fees go to hide. If you ever want a second set of eyes..." I turned my head on the pillow. The word ex is a small dog with a loud bark. "Not tonight," I said softly, "but maybe soon." He nodded. No defensiveness, no nostalgia, just respect. 3 days into the blackout, Mom showed up at my office for the first time in my life. Sunglasses inside, lobby voice. "Oh good, you're alive," she said. "I wasn't aware there was a search party," I replied. In a glass-walled conference room that smelled like printer ink and damp wool, we sat across from each other like strangers who share a last name. "You canceled everything," she said. "Utilities, the trip, the transfer. Your father is beside himself." "Good," I said. "Kathy." She folded her arms. "Why are you doing this to us?" "Not to you," I said. "For me." "Is this about dinner?" "It's about every dinner I funded while you saved me a seat in the hallway." She sighed, eyes doing the wet shimmer. "We didn't mean to hurt you. We just wanted a calm evening. Brielle is sensitive." "Then she should eat at home," I said. "Also, calm evenings usually invite the person who paid for them." "You always had a martyr complex." "I had a provider complex," I said. "It's in remission." She tried a new script. "We're not asking for anything big, just a bridge until the cafe stabilizes." "I already built you a bridge," I said. "You kept lighting it on fire." When she left, the door didn't slam as hard as her performance wanted it to. I watched the glass tremble and then settle. That evening, Noah posted a photo with Brielle. Cocktails. Captioned, "Celebrating clarity. Protect your peace." Some people subtract. The comments were a chorus line of affirmation. Someone asked if I was the subtractor. He replied, he tried to control the cafe with money. He. Even in public revision, they forget to switch the pronouns when they tell my story. I didn't clap back. I poured my energy somewhere it could multiply. I opened a blank doc and wrote the first line of the new narrative. Boundaries are not betrayal. Then I added the second. Silence is not guilt. And the third, walking away from manipulation isn't cruelty. It's survival. Lucas came up behind me and kissed the top of my head. "You're writing it down?" "Before someone else does," I said. What I didn't tell him, not yet, was that I'd already set the next piece in motion. Danielle would file within 48 hours. Vendors would learn I was no longer the guarantee behind my parents' good intentions. The cafe would feel the weather, and when the wind picked up, the paper walls would make their sound. It wouldn't be vengeance, it would be the truth. finally speaking at full volume. When I woke up the next morning, my phone was a wildfire. 6 missed calls from Dad, 4 from Mom, 2 from an unknown number I knew too well, Aunt Camilla. Her voicemail was sugar-coated barbed wire. Kathy, sweetheart, your mom's devastated. You know she didn't mean it like that. She's crying. The cafe's falling apart. You're better than this. Better than what? Better than boundaries? I didn't reply. I made coffee, black, no sugar, no guilt. Then the text came, Mom again. If this is about the dinner, don't punish us. We've always supported you. Supported me? I laughed out loud. Support wasn't a word that ever lived in our family vocabulary. Depend on, yes. Drain from, certainly. But support? That was a language they only spoke when I was buying the dictionary. By noon, Dad sent his usual short-form poetry. Vendors calling. Fix this. No question mark. No please. Just assumption. As if the moment I got tired of being their wallet, the world should stop turning. I didn't fix it. Instead, I logged into the cafe's system, my system, the one I built. The invoices, supply chains, vendor contacts, all through my LLC. It wasn't malice, it was protection. And now, for the first time, it was silence. When I toggled the switch marked Suspend Vendor Access, I didn't feel powerful. I felt free. Lucas came into the kitchen, barefoot, sleepy. Everything okay? Everything's finally honest, I said. He sat across from me, quiet for a while, before murmuring. You know, Elise, my ex, the forensic accountant I told you about, once mentioned cafes like this, said they're perfect for hiding small transfers. I raised an eyebrow. Small. She called it death by decimals, he said. $300 here, $500 there, all labeled consulting. I took a sip of coffee. That sounds familiar. Lucas hesitated, then reached for my hand. You don't have to look, but if you ever want to, I can reach out to her professionally. She's discreet. I smirked. You'd really text your ex for me? She's better with numbers than people, he said, half smiling. There's no competition. The honesty made me laugh. Maybe later, I said. Let's just watch the house burn first. That afternoon, Mom switched tactics. She posted a Facebook status. Sometimes people you raise bite the hand that fed them. Pray for peace. Within an hour, the sympathy brigade had assembled. Cousins I hadn't heard from in years commented, Hang in there, Aunt May. One of them added, You deserve better kids. I didn't even correct her. Let them build their fiction. The real story was already unfolding. By evening, the cafe's espresso supplier paused deliveries. Their paper goods vendor froze the account. And the POS subscription, registered under my name, was now expired. Noah posted an Instagram story. Him and Brielle at the cafe, arms crossed, looking resilient. Caption. Some people try to sabotage your peace, but God sees truth. I couldn't resist. I took a screenshot, added it to my growing folder. Public gaslighting. Subfolder. God sees truth. I didn't need revenge. I needed records. Later, Danielle called. All filings processed. You're officially dissociated from the LLC. Perfect, I said. Also, she added, her voice a knife's edge, your brother just called the bank and claimed you had no right to withdraw your capital. I blinked. Did he now? Apparently, he doesn't understand what managing partner means. I laughed. That tracks. He thinks profit margins are a kind of vitamin. After we hung up, I posted a single photo to my private account, my office window. City skyline blurred behind a mug that read, Nobody's backup plan. Caption, reminder, just because you kept them afloat doesn't mean they won't blame you for the flood. Within hours, it blew up. Quiet likes from ex-classmates, old coworkers, even one of Dad's golfing buddies. It wasn't viral, it was visible, and that was enough. By night, the cafe's group chat, one I'd been silently removed from, was leaking screenshots through relatives. Noah said I'd emotionally blackmailed the family. Mom said I'd changed. Dad said nothing. He never did. And Aunt Camilla, bless her relentless loyalty to dysfunction, texted me again. Your parents are losing sleep. The cafe can't open tomorrow. Just call. Be the bigger person. Bigger person. I almost admired the irony. I typed back. I was the bigger person for 10 years. They can take a shift. That night, Lucas poured me wine. You look peaceful, he said. Because for the first time, I replied, their crisis isn't my emergency. But somewhere under that calm, curiosity was blooming, small and sharp. If Noah really thought he could run a cafe, why did he need so much money? Constantly. Why had the vendor invoices doubled since January, yet inventory hadn't? Why did consulting fees appear 3 times on the ledger I'd glimpsed last month? Lucas's words echoed, death by decimals. Before bed, I opened my laptop. Not to check my bank, but theirs. The one they thought I no longer had access to. One document stood out. Consulting services, $4,200. Vendor, Marion & Co. Consulting. Address, P.O. Box 742. No website, no staff list, no phone number. Just a Venmo link tied to one name, Noah Polk. I stared at it for a long time, then I smiled, slow and cold. Oh, little brother, I whispered, you shouldn't have left the receipts in my kingdom. I took a screenshot and labeled it, Consulting, tell me step 1. Then I texted Danielle, we need a full audit, quietly. Her reply came 3 minutes later, already ahead of you. I closed the laptop, turned off the lights, and slipped into bed beside Lucas. He stirred. Everything okay? Yeah, I said, whispering against the dark. The storm's about to change direction. By Monday morning, I had 3 unread voicemails, 2 guilt-laced texts, and 1 new enemy, public perception. Mom's Facebook followers had transformed into amateur therapists, quoting scripture between casserole photos. Family is everything. She'll regret pushing people away. Prayers for strength, May. Strength, I thought, sipping coffee at my desk. They never prayed for mine when I was the one holding the family together. Danielle called right after. Morning, Kathy. Remember that consulting company you flagged? Yes. It doesn't exist. My pen froze midair. Meaning? Meaning it's a shell. Registered to a P.O. box in Cincinnati, no employees, no tax records. Payments went straight to a Venmo under your brother's name. There it was, confirmation of what I already knew in my bones. Noah wasn't just careless. He was stealing. Not from strangers, but from the family that worshipped him. From the cafe I had built systems for, saved repeatedly, and nearly ruined my relationship over. I leaned back in my chair. How much? So far? 28,000 and counting. A laugh escaped me, sharp, humorless. I guess we found the miracle part of the miracle child. Danielle paused. You want me to move forward with an audit? Yes, I said. And Danielle, keep it quiet. Let them find out the way they taught me everything else. Too late. When I hung up, Lucas looked up from the couch. Bad news? Predictable news, I said. He's been funneling money through fake invoices. He frowned. Want me to text Elise? She could make the audit airtight. I hesitated. There it was again, Elise, the ex-girlfriend-shaped shadow in our conversations. He noticed the flicker in my eyes and added softly, This isn't personal, it's professional. She does this for a living. I know, I said. Text her. An hour later, Elise emailed me directly. Polite, efficient, cold in the best way. Forward all ledgers, invoices, and vendor statements. I'll run a forensic trace. Expect initial findings within 48 hours. Her signature line read, Truth has timestamps. I liked her instantly. 2 days later, I met my parents at a rented conference room, neutral ground. Dad's posture was iron. Mom's sunglasses were armor. Kathy, she began, voice trembling just enough to sound rehearsed. What's going on? You're tearing this family apart. No, I said evenly. I'm just pulling my name off the things holding it together. I slid a folder across the table. Those are bank statements. You've been losing money, $28,000 so far, through fake consulting fees your son created. Dad laughed, the sound dry and defensive. That's ridiculous. Noah would never... Then explain this, I interrupted, pointing to the routing number matching his Venmo. Mom blinked, her composure cracking for a heartbeat. There has to be an explanation. There is, I said. Fraud. That's the explanation. The silence stretched long enough for the air conditioner to become a soundtrack. Finally, Dad muttered, You didn't have to involve outsiders. I tried insiders for 10 years, I said. They only cared when the money ran out. I stood. Danielle will be in touch about the dissolution paperwork. You can decide whether to confront Noah or the IRS first. Mom reached across the table, voice soft now. Sweetheart, you've changed. I met her eyes. No, I just stopped apologizing for noticing things. That evening, Elise's email arrived. Audit confirms misappropriation. Attached. Transaction map and trace summary. He's been transferring cafe revenue to a dummy firm for months. Attached was a chart, lines crisscrossing between accounts like a spider web of deceit. The trail ended exactly where Danielle said it would, Noah's personal account. Lucas looked over my shoulder. He's not even subtle. Of course not, I said. People who are used to being rescued never learn to hide their footprints. I stared at the screen, a cocktail of fury and heartbreak burning through my veins. He really thought they'd never see it, I whispered. Lucas touched my arm. They won't, unless you show them. I nodded slowly. Then I guess it's showtime. The next morning, I posted something on my private page. Not an attack, not a rant, just clarity. For anyone wondering, yes, I stepped back from my family's business. I spent years supporting it financially and emotionally. I'm no longer doing either. Boundaries aren't betrayal. Silence isn't guilt. Choosing peace isn't cruelty. If someone calls that drama, they've mistaken dependence for love. Within hours, my inbox filled. Messages from people I hadn't spoken to since high school. Thank you for saying this. One woman wrote, my brother did the same thing. They called me selfish. You're not alone. I wasn't trying to go viral. I just wanted the truth to breathe somewhere besides my chest. Mom predictably saw it and called. I didn't pick up. Instead, she sent a voice memo, soft, trembling, Oscar-worthy. I don't know what happened to you, Kathy. You used to be kind. You used to care about us. You've turned everyone against your own family. This isn't you. I listened twice. The first time I felt the old guilt stir. The second time I heard it for what it was, manipulation wrapped in nostalgia. I saved it under a new folder, voice memos, revisionist history. That weekend, the cafe shut down. No announcement, no farewell post, just a handwritten note taped to the door. Closed until further notice. I stood across the street in my car watching two baristas peel the sign down. One of them was crying. Lucas squeezed my hand. You okay? I'm not sure, I said. I didn't want this. But you didn't cause it either, he replied. You just stopped covering for the ones who did. A small knock interrupted us. A woman, 40-something, hair tied back, cardigan fraying at the sleeves. She introduced herself. Angela, the cafe's former bookkeeper. I heard what happened, she said softly. I just wanted to thank you. For what? I asked. For caring enough to blow it up before it got worse. She handed me a small envelope. Inside, a torn piece of notebook paper. I'm sorry, you were always the one who showed up. Mom, I didn't cry. Not then. I just folded it and tucked it into my bag, next to a stack of unpaid invoices and a half-empty bottle of Grace. That night, Elise emailed one final time. Audit complete. He'll face consequences. But you, don't let this define you. Closure isn't punishment. It's peace. I stared at the words for a long moment before replying. Thank you. And thank you for reminding me that truth has timestamps. Then I closed the laptop. The storm was over. Only the cleanup remained. 3 days after the cafe closed, the silence was almost eerie. No group chats, no guilt voicemails, just the faint hum of a refrigerator and the feeling of after. For the first time in years, my mornings didn't start with someone else's emergency. Lucas brewed coffee while I read the paper, an ordinary, peaceful scene that felt almost foreign, until my phone buzzed again. It was Noah. You couldn't let it go, huh? You always have to be the hero. You think they'll love you now? Newsflash. They still won't. I stared at his message, the digital echo of every family argument I'd ever lost. Then, slowly, I took a screenshot and added it to my receipts folder. Not for revenge, for memory. That afternoon, Danielle called. IRS acknowledged the report, she said. They'll open a case file. Noah's going to get audited. I exhaled, a breath that had been waiting for months. He's not going to see this coming, I said. No, Danielle replied. But he'll swear you did it out of spite. Be ready for the narrative to flip again. I smiled faintly. He's been flipping narratives his whole life. It's about time the truth learned to speak. By the weekend, Noah's meltdown went public. A full wall of text on Facebook, beginning with, family should be about love, not control, and ending with a Bible verse about forgiveness. He never mentioned my name, but he didn't have to. The subtext wore my face. Comments rolled in, praying for healing. You deserve peace. Stay strong, bro. And then one brave voice. Didn't Kathy pay for that cafe in the first place? That comment vanished within minutes. Classic Noah, moderating his own version of the truth. I didn't reply. I didn't defend myself. Because this time I had something better, evidence, and something rarer, peace. But I wasn't the only one watching the storm. That night, Aunt Camilla called me. Her voice was steadier than before. "I've been listening," she said, "and I believe you." I didn't say anything. "You're not crazy, Kathy. I remember when you skipped your honeymoon because your mom needed surgery. I remember the year they forgot your birthday. People forget the things you carried." My throat tightened. "Thank you," I whispered. "Don't thank me. Just remember, truth always starts as the quietest voice in the room." The next morning, Elise sent her final audit report, professional, detailed, damning. She'd traced the entire fraud chain, $28,000, transferred over 6 months, invoices falsified, a fake consulting firm registered under Noah's name, all clean, all deliberate. The last line of her report read, "Pattern consistent with embezzlement. Evidence sufficient for civil or criminal review." Lucas placed a cup of tea beside me. "You're really not even mad, are you?" I looked at the screen. "No, I'm tired." Tired of what? Being right when I'd rather be loved. He said nothing, just wrapped an arm around me as I watched years of silence finally write themselves into truth. 2 days later, Mom requested a meeting. Neutral ground again, a business suite I rented downtown. When she and Dad walked in, I almost didn't recognize them. Their confidence had been replaced by confusion. "Kathy," Mom began softly, "we just want to talk." "I'm listening," I said. She took off her sunglasses, a sign she was serious this time. "We didn't know," she said, "about the money, about Noah." Dad grunted. "He made mistakes, but you didn't have to go to the government." I kept my voice calm. "If I hadn't, the cafe would have taken me down with it." Mom shook her head. "We could have fixed it." "No," I said gently. "You would have hidden it." Her eyes filled with tears. Not the performative kind, but something raw. "You really hate us, don't you?" I inhaled slowly. "I don't hate you. I just stopped financing my own mistreatment." Dad slammed a hand on the table. "We gave you everything." I looked him in the eye. "You gave me bills and blame. Everything else I earned." The silence that followed wasn't tense. It was hollow, like a house already emptied. Mom finally whispered, "I don't know how we got here." I answered, "By pretending I didn't exist unless I was useful." I stood up. I'll always wish things were different, but wishing doesn't pay debts. As they left, Mom turned back once. "We're losing everything." I nodded. "Maybe now you'll understand what it felt like to keep everything running alone." That evening, Lucas found me on the balcony, staring at the skyline. "Was that the closure you wanted?" he asked. "No," I said quietly, "but it's the one I got." He slipped an arm around my shoulders. "You're free now, Kathy." "Freedom feels strange," I said, "like silence that's too clean." He smiled. "You'll get used to it." A week later, the cafe officially shuttered. No press release, no thank you to loyal customers. Just a sign on the window. Property for lease. The staff found new jobs. Vendors stopped calling. The name Polk's Coffee disappeared from Google Maps like it never existed. One afternoon, as I cleared old files from my drive, I found a note in my family support folder. Something I'd written 2 years ago and forgotten. "If I ever leave, they'll call it betrayal. But it'll really be me learning to live without being needed." I sat there for a long time, reading my own handwriting like it belonged to someone wiser. That night, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I answered. "Kathy?" Noah's voice, fragile and uncertain. I just wanted to say I didn't mean for it to go that far." I stayed silent. "They're not talking to me," he continued. "Mom barely looks at me. Dad said I ruined everything." I could hear it, the first tremor of consequence. "Noah," I said, calm and steady, "you didn't ruin everything. You just revealed it." He swallowed hard. "I don't know how to fix it." "You're not supposed to," I said. "You're supposed to learn from it." There was a pause, the longest we'd ever shared. Then he said, "I guess this is it." "For now," I said, "but I hope one day you figure out who you are without needing to steal it." When the call ended, I sat in the dark, listening to the quiet. It didn't feel empty. It felt earned. The next morning, I dropped by a small nonprofit downtown, one that helps women start small businesses. I handed the director a folder filled with old cafe documents. "These taught me a lot," I said. "Maybe they can help someone else." She smiled. You sure you want to part with them? I nodded. They belong to the past. I don't live there anymore. As I stepped outside into the morning light, a single thought crossed my mind. The cafe was gone. But I wasn't. And for the first time, that felt like winning. The weeks after the cafe closed were almost disorienting. No buzzing phone, no crisis alerts, no, "Can you send something to cover this month?" messages. Just stillness. It turns out, peace isn't loud. It's a quiet room that doesn't need you to fix anything. But quiet has its own kind of echo. The first few mornings, I'd wake up thinking I'd forgotten something, like an unpaid bill or a deadline, and then realize there was nothing left to manage but my own life. Lucas noticed before I did. "You keep flinching at silence," he said one evening. "I'm not used to it," I admitted. He smiled. That's what healing sounds like. Awkward, uncomfortable, but peaceful. Then, one afternoon, Noah showed up at my building. No text, no warning, just his dented Audi, double parked outside like entitlement had its own parking pass. My receptionist buzzed me. Kathy, there's a man downstairs. Says he's your brother." I hesitated. I could have told her to send him away, but something in me, some old final thread, wanted the closure spoken aloud. "Send him up," I said. When the elevator doors opened, Noah stepped out like he was walking into a boardroom, not the ruins of what he'd broken. He looked thinner, paler. Maybe for once, reality had caught up to him. He gave me that familiar half grin, the one he used when charm was supposed to erase consequences. "Kathy," he said. "Noah." He looked around my office, taking in the view, the framed certifications, the calm. "You've done well for yourself," he said. "I had to," I replied. Nobody else was paying my bills. He flinched, but tried to keep his tone light. "You didn't have to go nuclear." "Nuclear?" I repeated. "I didn't drop a bomb, Noah. I just stopped holding the fuse for you." He sighed and leaned forward. "You humiliated Mom and Dad. You embarrassed the whole family. They can't show their faces in town." "No," I said evenly. "They did that when they chose silence over accountability. I just stopped covering it." He laughed once, short, brittle. "You think you're the good guy?" "I think I'm the one who finally got tired." For a moment, he dropped the act. His voice softened. "I was under pressure, all right? I was trying to keep things afloat." "By stealing?" "It wasn't stealing," he snapped. "I was paying myself back for all the hours I put in." "You mean the hours you spent taking selfies behind the counter while staff handled customers? Or maybe the hours you spent ordering vegan oat bars nobody bought?" He stared at the floor. I messed up. "Yeah," I said quietly, "but not just with the money." He looked up, eyes rimmed red. "You don't understand. Mom won't talk to me. Dad barely looks at me. You got what you wanted. They turned on me." "No," I said. "What I wanted was for all of us to grow up. I stopped being their crutch. You stopped being their favorite. Now everyone's having withdrawals." He rubbed his face. "I don't know how to fix it." "You can't," I said. "Some things you don't fix. You just stop repeating." He nodded slowly, then stood. "So, I guess this is it." "For now," I said. "But maybe one day, when you're not blaming everyone else, it won't be." He looked at me one last time. "You really changed." "No," I said. "I just stopped playing the role you all wrote for me." And for the first time, he didn't argue. He just left. No slam, no insult, just the quiet sound of the elevator doors closing. That night, Lucas made dinner. Pasta, jazz, candlelight. We talked about everything but family. Halfway through the meal, he asked, "Do you feel lighter?" I thought for a moment. "I feel unhooked." He raised an eyebrow. "Unhooked?" "Yeah, like I finally unhooked myself from the idea that love has to be earned with suffering." He smiled, that soft kind of smile that feels like home. "That's the best kind of peace, Kathy." A few days later, Danielle called again. "I just received a letter from your parents' attorney," she said. "What do they want?" "A meeting. They said they want to open a conversation." I sighed. "We already had one." "That's what I told them," she said. "I'll file it under no further response." "Perfect," I said. "They can talk to the silence. It's the only thing that ever listened anyway." That weekend, I boxed up the last of the cafe's paperwork, tax records, partnership forms, the original LLC certificate, and took it to a community entrepreneurship center downtown. The woman at the front desk smiled. "You're donating this?" "Yes," I said. "Maybe someone can learn from my mistakes and my recovery." As I handed her the folder, I felt something lift. Not pride, not sadness, just release. When I walked back outside, the air smelled clean, like a story finally finished telling itself. That night, Lucas and I hosted a small dinner at home. Just us, two close friends, and our neighbor who always brings good wine but burns the garlic bread. Someone raised a glass and said, "To Kathy, who quietly does more than most people ever see." Everyone clinked glasses. I smiled, polite, but my mind drifted. Later, as we cleaned up, Lucas asked, "What were you thinking about when they said that?" I looked at him and said, "That I used to crave hearing those words from my parents. Now, I just let them exist without needing to." He didn't say anything, just reached for my hand. Before bed, I opened the receipts.md file one last time. At the bottom, I added one final line. October 12th. Closure isn't revenge. It's breathing without permission. I hit save. Then I closed the document for good. No backup, no copies. Because I didn't need proof anymore, just peace. 3 months later, the word family finally stopped tasting like ash. My mornings now began with sunlight, not stress. I'd open the curtains, make coffee, and watch the city stir awake below, each sound part of a rhythm that didn't belong to anyone's chaos but mine. Lucas would come in, hair a mess, half asleep, holding his mug like a peace offering. "This is your calm era," he said one morning, grinning. "Don't jinx it," I replied, but even I knew it was true. The old panic, the reflex to check my phone, brace for guilt, was gone. I hadn't blocked my parents, but their messages came like postcards from another planet. Short, confused, and irrelevant. Every once in a while, I'd open one. "Dad, hope you're doing okay. The house feels quiet. Mom, thinking of you." The coffee maker broke again. I'd smile faintly, close the app, and get back to work. Work, my own business, was thriving. The consulting firm I'd built quietly over the years had taken off once I stopped draining myself to keep others' dreams alive. New clients, steady income, no emergencies that required emotional CPR. Even the way I saw money changed. It wasn't love's currency anymore. It was just a tool. And I finally learned that generosity without boundaries isn't kindness. It's self-erasure. One Friday afternoon, while reviewing contracts, my receptionist buzzed me. "There's a delivery for you, Ms. Polk." I expected flowers from a client. Instead, it was a small, plain envelope. Handwritten, no return address. The handwriting hit me like déjà vu. Slanted, careful, familiar. I didn't open it right away. I waited until after dinner, after Lucas went to bed, after the city had quieted down to a hum. Then I sat by the window and tore it open. "Kathy, we don't know how to fix it, but we're trying. We miss you. We're proud of you. We hope that means something. Love, Mom." No dramatics, no excuses, just words. The kind that could have changed everything once, but now only confirmed how far I'd come. I folded it neatly and placed it in the same drawer as the old cafe license and Mom's first apology note from Angela. That drawer had become my archive of endings. The next week, I got coffee with Aunt Camilla. She looked better, lighter too. "You did the right thing, you know," she said, stirring her tea. "Doesn't feel like it sometimes." She smiled. "That's because doing the right thing never feels like winning when it involves people you love." I nodded. "They lost a daughter." "No," she said, shaking her head. "They lost control. There's a difference." Her words stuck with me all the way home. That evening, Lucas came in with 2 glasses of wine. He'd been quiet lately, gentle, observant, giving me space to breathe. "You ever think about going back?" he asked softly. I thought for a long time before answering. "No," I said finally, "because I don't live in that house anymore." He smiled, understanding exactly what I meant. "I live in a different house now, not made of walls and roof, but of boundaries and truth. A house where silence isn't punishment, it's peace. Where love isn't a transaction, it's shared freely, without debt. Where every door opens inward, not outward, because the person I needed to come home to was always me." A month later, I attended a small entrepreneurship panel at the community center, the same place I'd donated my old cafe records. A young woman approached me after the session, holding a notepad. "Are you Kathy Polk?" she asked shyly. I nodded. "I read your post online, the one about boundaries not being betrayal. It helped me cut ties with a toxic business partner, so thank you." Her eyes shone with the kind of freedom I recognized, the early kind, still trembling, but real. I smiled. You don't owe anyone your exhaustion, I told her. Remember that. When she walked away, I felt something stir, a quiet pride that didn't need applause. That night, Lucas and I cooked dinner together. The radio played softly. I poured wine while he chopped garlic. This, he said, smiling, is what normal feels like. Strange, isn't it? I laughed. No drama, no damage control. Just dinner, he said. Just dinner. 2 words that once meant exclusion, now meant peace. After we ate, I stepped onto the balcony, the city lights blinking below. Somewhere out there, my parents were probably figuring out how to rebuild. Maybe Noah was too, maybe not. But either way, I didn't need to know. Because for the first time, I wasn't waiting for closure. I'd built it myself. Later that night, before turning off the lights, I opened my journal and wrote one final entry under the title, Receipts. They didn't destroy me when they took my seat at their table. They freed me to build my own. And this time, everyone eats with respect or not at all. I closed the book, exhaled, and whispered, I'm home.